Sign in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access. Plus, commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
Ahead on American Sunrise, prime time president. President Trump set to address the nation tonight in prime time at 9 p.m. Eastern, reportedly releasing new information on the 2020 election. What new facts could Trump have? We have coverage throughout the show. Ooh, juicy tease. Plus, Capitol Hill collaboration, the next reconciliation fight taking shape as we speak. House Republicans have unveiled their blueprint for their big reconciliation 3.0. But can they get it across the finish line? We're going to ask two members of Congress this morning. And later, going rogue with Joe Rogan. Vice President J.D. Vance joins the very famous podcast and creates headlines when talking about the Epstein files in Israel. Oh boy, I'm going to be around for that. I hope you will too. We have those stories and more. American Sunrise starting on Thursday right now. Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
We have breaking news to share with you.
politics,
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
we've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrance.
And I'm Dr. Gina. Good morning, everybody. I am Dr. Gina. We are live with you from the Palm Beaches. Let's bring in David Brody. He's in Washington, D.C. Terrance Bates is in our Denver newsroom. Good morning, guys. I want to show you this really quickly.
What's happening?
How
What are you
cute
doing?
is this? You see this
What
little
is
thing
this?
and it says Mama? My little Sam, he fixes these for me. It's so cute. These are last night's enchiladas that I made that I didn't get to eat any of. So he packs them up for me to bring to work like a little schoolgirl, right? With my little mama written on it. Always the mama. Yep. And sometimes sometimes I get a heart Sam. But my son, for those of you who don't know, has Down syndrome, and he is the most amazing, wonderful thing ever. So anyway, I love all
that's
his little loving, and he doesn't talk. So, like, all of these things are like his way of communicating with us.
Oh,
That's
wow.
great. My daughter says, Dada, what's your credit card number again? That's what I get.
That's when they call.
Yeah.
You could almost pick up the phone and be, yes, what do you want? At this age, that's when they call.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's the three-digit code on the back of the card. Did you forget again? Here.
Yep.
Exactly. If I see my girls before I leave for work, it's typically, hey, Dad, you're going to work, right? And I'm like, yeah, good. Have a great day. Which means, good, go make that money for us. So I fully get you.
That's right.
I fully get you. All right, guys. So look, I would like President Trump tonight to start his speech with, it's 9 p.m. Do you know where your children are? I'm not going to lie, 9 o'clock tonight, I'm going to have no idea where my kids are, but I will be squarely tuned into the president's remarks right now. Of course, we're expecting that he's going to talk about these newly declassified files as it relates to the 2020 election. I suspect, Dr. Gina and David, that Iran is going to come up, and then there's probably going to be a push as well on the Save America Act. He's probably going to challenge Senate Republicans to do more, particularly since House Republicans are now also acting when it comes to that. So it's going to be very interesting to watch and see exactly what comes out. Is there anything in particular you want the president to address, Dr. Gina?
Wow.
Okay, that was a loaded question.
Oh, that was loaded. I think that there are a lot of things I'd like him to address that he won't be addressing. I think that the things you flipped through, Terrance, are probably the ones that we will hear the most about. But, you know, he loves this. He loves an audience. He loves to be center stage. You know, you never know where he might go.
Yeah,
sure.
a couple of things. It's going to be in the East Room at the White House tonight. Just a couple of logistical things to get taken care of. Also, what's interesting, the networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, they haven't decided what their plans are yet. Very unusual. Normally, we know the plans of the networks. We don't know yet. Why? He's talking about the 2020 election and election fraud. Oh, gosh, imagine the position they're in as to what they're going to do tonight.
What a great point.
So I think that's... Yeah, it's going to be a storyline tomorrow. One last thing, CBS News is reporting this morning that he's going to talk specifically and unveil new details about alleged Chinese hacking and infiltration into our election databases. That's going to be part of the news. Now, it's CBS, so everybody takes a quote with a grain of salt. But as I dig deeper into the story, it's done by someone I know very well. I actually, when I was on Meet the Press for many years before I got blacklisted off of there, Jennifer Jacobs and I did quite a few panels together. And Jennifer Jacobs is as solid as they come. She works for CBS now. So if she's reporting that, I guarantee you, that will be said tonight. So we'll see. Lots of stuff going on.
It's going to be interesting to watch for sure. I will be tuned in. Like I said, 9 o'clock. Don't call me. Don't text me. I'm going to be in front of the TV watching the president. So there you have it. All right, Dr. Gina, would you give us our Bible verse?
Yes, I'm looking here in the monitor and I'm thinking, what on earth happens to my hair every day between the time that I do it at home and it looks like human hair, and then the time I get here and it's like, whoosh! It really wants to make its presence known. Today's Bible verse.
I feel you, Dr. Gina. My hair wants to make its presence known as well.
I knew that was coming. I just want to. I sit here with this loads of hairspray. Spray. It doesn't matter.
It's time for a prayer for Gina's hair, everybody. Please join us in prayer.
Something.
Everybody, bow your head.
All right. Today's Bible verse is given to us by Amy Douglas 5058 from our YouTube chat. And it is from Mark 11:22 through 26. So Jesus answered and said to them, "Have faith in God, for assuredly I say to you, whoever says to this mountain, be removed and be cast into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that those things he says will be done, he will have whatever he says. Therefore I say to you, whatever things you ask when you pray, believe that you will receive them, and you will have them. And whenever you stand praying, if you have anything against anyone, forgive him, that your Father in heaven may also forgive you your trespasses. But if you do not forgive, neither will your Father in heaven forgive your trespasses." Let's bring in Texas Congressman Pete Sessions. Congressman, let us know what you are hoping to hear from our president tonight.
Well, tonight the president, I believe, will talk about things that have taken a year and a half by this administration to dig deep into not only the facts of the case, but how it happened and the empowering things and then the outcomes. I think it's important that we do understand that there is a huge collision of ideas in Washington, D.C. On one side, the American people know that they have the Republican Party here to stand as stalwarts for freedom, opportunity, but they have also seen very clearly how the other side, notwithstanding the things that we saw from President Biden, go completely to the left. And that is what happened during the elections. These elections are a fight between two sides. One group that wants to have ballots that can be turned in 3 weeks after the election, ballot boxes where you simply dump your ballot without security, versus the integrity of the American people, citizenship, registration, knowledge of who you are, and to show up and vote with an identification. There are light years between us. The Democrats, H.R. 1, back when they were in charge, Nancy Pelosi, they wanted to have 16-year-olds vote. They want to pay people to run for Congress with government money. And worst of all, they want same-day you can register, you can vote, and no follow-up. So the differences between this are stark. The president's going to talk about what happened, and I think the American people will hear it, and the evidence will be there.
Well, Congressman, I have a question for you, but I got to say I'm distracted by your very phenomenal background. You look like General George C. Patton this morning from that movie. That is looking very impressive, by the way.
It's not 250 years old, but what it represents is the greatest country in the world.
Let's go. Run through a wall. Okay. Hey, let me ask you about the Hill headline here. This is the reconciliation fight, and you kind of laid out a lot of what's going to hopefully be in the package. They've got $95 billion reconciliation package framework. I know it's going to be going through quite a few committees. So take us through this. It has funding for defense, farm aid, efforts for states to put in voter ID requirements. What is this, a grant program? So help us through. I mean, are we going to get the whole Save America enchilada here? I know the Senate's a whole different deal, but what's the House going to do to start us off?
Well, in fact, as you referenced, the Senate is a different deal, but it will have to be exactly the same package. This is a matter of procedures, essentially, that we're talking about. But the Save America Act in total is what we're attempting to pass in the House of Representatives. What we want to do here is to use the law to our advantage, reconciliation, whereby the requirements of that bill are that it is revenue only. And so the policy that we've got is laden with those revenue items. It's laden with the opportunity that we have to then pass a bill with not just that in it, but also to satisfy Senate requirements. And then what happens is it goes to the Senate and does not require it to go through cloture, which means it can come directly from our body directly to their body. So we do have to follow the law. We have to follow the rules. We're going to have to pass this. We're going to do it. And you will see where the Senate then will get that package, but without the requirements to go through cloture.
Congressman, I know that a lot of your attention is right there in Washington, D.C., but I've got to imagine that you've got one eye on your home state of Texas as it deals with what can probably be described as catastrophic flooding for a second straight year. Do you want to comment at all about efforts to kind of help some of the states? I think they're like some of the counties, excuse me. I think there's something like more than 50 counties that are dealing with this flooding, helping them recover. And if there's been conversation about emergency funds for Texas, particularly in this environment?
Well, as you suggest, this is not a first time or second time that this has happened. This is now seemingly on an annual basis. 10.27 inches fell last night in Kerrville, Texas. Does Kerrville, Texas sound familiar? Yes. That's 1 year ago where the terrible flooding that killed so many people. It was a little bit different. This was constant rain directly in people's yards. They could see it coming. They prepared. They knew where it was. But extensive flooding as it now goes from what's called the hill country into the rest of Texas. And there's no question about it. 10.27 inches over a large area will be very destructive. But we're first going to try and see, when does the rain stop? And it's not done that yet.
Well, Congressman Pete Sessions, our hearts and prayers go out to all those folks there encountering all of that flooding. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Dr. Gina, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, listen, coming up, we're going to check out the hottest headlines from the RAV newsroom with Terrance Bates. Also later, a controversial provision in the defense budget bill is drawing new scrutiny. What would it mean for U.S. Israel defense cooperation? And will it survive the final bill? That's always the question. We'll break it down coming up on American Sunrise.
That's my favorite part.
Hey, MD. Hey, since I don't have prompter, I will read off what am I reading? Off my laptop.
This news break
when I
is
look down, just take the video. Like, at this point, just keep video up full. Like, I'll give you an intro, but, you know, as quick as possible, just take the video, and we'll just stay in video for both. Thank you, sir. Oh, my goodness. Good morning, YouTube.
Wait, I keep forgetting that joke.
See you guys.
Highway to Hammond. Well,
because
that's right,
Hammond,
Hammond,
Illinois, or Hammond, Indiana, was
the
where
Chicago
my
Bears.
Bears.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out if maybe it was like...
The Indiana Bears.
Hey, Trace. Good morning.
Good morning.
So I've got a Texas flooding story leading into you.
Okay.
I'll set it up kind of with the newsier angle, and then you can obviously give us forecast and expound on it.
That's a nice shot of Washington, D.C., by the way.
I'm even calling it that we've got team coverage, Tracy. Aren't you impressed? Team coverage, you and me. Look at us.
Yes, I love it.
All right,
We
stand by.
fancy.
Yeah, I know. We fancy today.
Oh, is that what that is? Okay. I thought D.C.
No,
all of a
it's still
sudden the
blue.
reflecting
Oh,
pool
now, yes, it's back.
spilled over.
It's back. What happened? What was it?
It was an input. Is your camera looking okay, Lindsay?
Okay.
This news break is brought to you by AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens.
Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Just beautiful down there. Right now, 83 degrees, going up to 89 today. What am I, Tracy Anthony? What's happening? I'm transitioning. Oh, wait, sorry, my bad. Hashtag too soon. Welcome back, folks. I'm David Brody. All right, we're going to hear from Tracy Anthony in just a moment. First, though, the one and only T. Bates, and he is sponsored by AMAC.
Our country is under attack.
The America we know is at risk of not being that way.
The radical left wants to destroy America.
We're not going to let that happen.
The younger generation needs you to stand up and lead.
It's an inside-out strategy.
This is more than an organization. This is a movement.
We're here to save the country.
AMAC is a family, over 2 million patriots strong.
I am an AMAC member, by the way.
AMAC gives you the training, resources, and tools to be a citizen soldier.
Each one of us can make a difference, and that's what AMAC shows every day.
Plus, real benefits like travel discounts, insurance, and Medicare guidance. We are stronger together.
Our rights don't come from government. Our rights come from God.
RAV family, let's stand with AMAC.
To extinguish all the evil that we see around us.
Scan the QR code right now or go to amac.com/RAV and let's take our country back together.
As we've been telling you all morning, President Trump set to address the nation at 9 tonight. Just hours before the big speech, House Republicans announced that Reconciliation 3.0 is a go. The $95 billion plan seeks to boost defense spending during the ongoing Iran war and address voter ID and voter integrity issues. The move comes as Senate Republicans continue to fail when it comes to passing the Save America Act. But on Wednesday, Vice President J.D. Vance met with House Republican conference leaders on Capitol Hill as the group tries to circumvent Democrat opposition to the administration's priority of securing elections.
There is nothing in this bill that every Republican in Congress cannot proudly get behind. I would say that Republicans support election integrity, our troops, and, of course, our farmers, and this vehicle will demonstrate all of that.
A vote is expected today to get Reconciliation 3.0 out of committee and onto the House floor. House Democrats expect the budget measure to pass both the House and the Senate, as the bill should be able to pass with only Republican support. Move over, Susan B. Anthony. President Trump's face is now gracing the front of a $1 coin. The U.S. Mint just began producing the coin in order to help celebrate the nation's 250th birthday. The Treasury Department says the final design for the commemorative coin will be released in the fall. It was approved earlier this year by the U.S. Commission of Fine Arts. That commission's members, by the way, were appointed by President Trump. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says the coin is intended to honor the enduring legacy of liberty and a lasting symbol of patriotism. The final version of the coin likely won't be made of gold, rather have a gold finish. Evacuation warnings and high water rescues are expected to continue today across parts of Texas following days of rain that has led to flooding that you see here on your screen. Most of the problems are happening in Uvalde County, where game wardens say that they had to rescue more than 40 people on Wednesday. As of Wednesday night, just over 6 million Texans in 57 counties were under a National Weather Service flood watch. Those concerns continue this morning and aren't expected to expire until tomorrow in most counties. More than a foot of rain has already fallen in some places, with even more to come. So now let's bring in Weather Nation meteorologist Tracy Anthony with team coverage of this evolving weather story. Tracy, it just won't stop. It seems like the rain keeps coming and coming and coming.
Yeah, you know, and on top of the rain yesterday, they had severe thunderstorms. So we have video of a tornado in San Antonio, and then it's kind of like, you know, do you go to the most interior room of your house or do you seek higher ground, you know? You kind of get caught between two different big weather stories. So unfortunately for this area, the rain will continue, and as you can see here, this was Wednesday, but any more moisture will be insult to injury. And we've had flash flood emergencies that have been issued so far to start off the day. We had a few tornado warnings even early this morning, but it's this cluster of thunderstorms that's just lingering across the region. Now, we've had areas pick up close to 2 feet of rain in the last 3 days. So those rainfall totals are continuing to surge. Now, there is one other big story across the country. Air quality alerts are in place from northern Minnesota all the way to the East Coast. That's from wildfires in northern Minnesota and in Canada that started on Wednesday. 13 fires started midweek, and now that dense smoke is going to be impacting a lot of us here across the Great Lakes. So look at that. You're going to be noticing it. Areas like Chicago starting off the morning with unhealthy air quality. So if you're a morning jogger, you may want to take the day off because that particulate matter can irritate your lungs, irritate your eyes. So just kind of heeding the warnings, and a lot of people will want to stay inside. But out west, it's still hot and humid. We're talking about monsoon moisture. That moisture from Texas is going to continue to push west into the weekend. So areas like Arizona, Utah could be dealing with some flooding concerns as well. So Terrance, I feel like the weather stories have really just ramped up as we get into the end of the week.
Yeah, it's been interesting to watch how all of this plays out. And folks, don't forget to go ahead and scan that QR code there at the bottom of your screen, download the Weather Nation app so you can stay up to date with all the weather that might even be happening in your community. Tracy, thank you, and we'll check in with you next hour for our hometown forecast.
Yeah, don't forget to drop those hometown forecasts in the chats. I'll look for them.
All right, we'll do it. Thank you so much, Tracy. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have a live report from the White House as the nation waits to hear what President Trump has to say during his primetime address tonight. RAV DC correspondent Neil McCabe already at the White House. That man stays at the White House. We'll get an update and some insight from him right after the break. Okay. Good morning, all.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
There is Neil.
Good morning, Neil.
Hey, good morning, guys.
YouTube.
Neil, you were racking up all the frequent flyer miles. I mean, Pennsylvania, a couple of weeks ago, you were out in South Dakota. You were everywhere, my friend. Jeesh.
Lord, I was born a rambling man.
Do you like it? Do you like it, Neil?
I do like to travel, and you know, because I really love seeing different parts of the country, and I love grabbing the local newspapers to find out what stories are bubbling, sort of the grassroots, and find out, what people are talking about in different states.
Hey, Neil, so you were in Carlisle yesterday.
Always research.
You were in Carlisle yesterday, Neil, and I just was reading an article about Jim Thorpe and that he went to school in Carlisle. Is the U.S. Army College, is that the same campus that was like a Native American boarding school? Do you know? Had you heard that?
I don't know that. I know that obviously Thorpe was a phenomenal athlete, but I was just thrilled to see a bust of General Bliss because I deployed to Kuwait from Bliss. I never knew who the fort was named after, and then I saw the guy's statue. I finally met the guy.
I've been right there to that establishment. I forgot the name of it. I was in Dublin for 24 hours. I was drunk. No, I wasn't. I wasn't drunk. But I was with my family. Gina, haven't you been there too? We need to talk about this. Let's vamp this the rest of the show. Welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. All right, President Trump set to address the nation tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. Trump reportedly slated to release new information regarding voter fraud and the 2020 election. Trump has also been urging Congress to get the Save America Act passed and sent to his desk. So you wonder if that will be in the speech. I'm assuming it will. Let's now bring in RAV D.C. correspondent Neil McCabe, who's back at the White House after being in Pennsylvania yesterday. Neil, what can we expect tonight? CBS was reporting this morning that there's going to be some mention somehow, some way about China meddling in the election, and then that could be the big news. What are you hearing about what could be the big news tonight?
Well, obviously, I think that this speech is being drafted up until the last minute. Like many of these types of speeches, there are different factions and tribes inside the White House that are fighting over sentences and what office gets what paragraph. But I think the bottom line is that the president is trying to shift the conversation about what happened in 2020 into an intelligence, counterintelligence story, because if foreign powers were influencing our elections, that's not criminal, that's war. And you talk about China, we could hear him mention a case of Eugene Yu in Los Angeles. There might be some talk of things that the Venezuelans were up to. Maybe they'll talk about what the Serbians were up to. It's really hard to tell now because so much has been leaked already. But a lot of times when people lose the inside battle to get to that speech or get to that project, that's when they talk to the press. And so, this thing is being distilled as we speak.
Hey, Neil, I'm curious, is there any indication from the White House as to why now, why he's choosing now in order to offer up these remarks tonight?
Well, I haven't gotten that indication, but, I'm obsessed with the calendar and the timetable. And so this is something that probably should have been done earlier, but the Iran war has sort of pushed a lot of these projects to the right rather than the left. The president wants to get this on the books, obviously before the pre-term convention, before voters start focusing on the the midterm after Labor Day. And this is stuff that has been floating around in D.C. and around, different communities, ever since 2020. Most Americans would, if you ask them to be straight, they would say, I don't know how they stole it. I just know it was stolen. And so we even saw Jay Clayton testifying before the Senate. And, the Democrats are trying to put him on the spot over 2020. This has to be resolved. And so, the president will take that step tonight.
Neil, Vice President J.D. Vance did an interview with Joe Rogan and had this to say about the handling of the Epstein files.
But if people want to say we mishandled the Epstein release, guilty. We did mishandle, especially the communications of it.
What do you think should have been done?
I think that we should have just dropped everything at the very beginning. And obviously it takes a little time to review the stuff, to find the stuff, to redact things where you have victims and so forth. But we should have just done it as quickly as possible.
But some of the stuff that was redacted, some of the names that were redacted weren't victims.
So, yeah, I've looked into this, and my understanding of this, having looked at a lot of this, but not all of it, is that it is sometimes hard to draw a distinction between victim and co-conspirator. And let me highlight this in a very sort of obvious way. Ro Khanna, who's been one of the loudest voices on the Epstein file. Well, he became very loud on the Epstein files the minute Donald Trump became president, didn't seem to care about it during the Biden administration. He actually brought one of the Epstein victims, I think, to the State of the Union last year, or maybe it was the year before last. Well, that victim, and I'm not saying she wasn't a victim. I don't know anything about her particular case. She was also listed as a co-conspirator in some of these documents, right? So there's an idea that some of the people who were engaged in the sex trafficking were also, facilitating it as well.
So they were incentivized to get more girls.
Yeah, but yes, that's right. But the idea is that it's hard to sort of. It's sometimes a little bit of a gray area between, some of the people who were alleged victims were also alleged co-conspirators. And so what DOJ tried to do was kind of make that judgment as best they could and release as much as possible.
Your reaction, Neil?
I think that the handling of Epstein has been so tragic. Very beginning, when then Attorney General Pam Bondi passed out binders, maybe the first week of the administration, as if that was the full release. And from that point forward, it's just people have been stumbling. And it's been a massive job. I've talked to people at DOJ. I've talked to former colleagues who were involved in sort of the vetting. And it was just a massive task. A lot of the people who are involved in this have law licenses, and so things that that were released, say today, in say 3 years, when people have time to think about it, they may say, "Hey, maybe that was wrong. Maybe we should start going after the law licenses of some of the people who are involved." Because a lot of this stuff is going on. There was no trial. A lot of people who are being accused of being, co-conspirators or whatever the primary documents say. There was no trial, and so a lot of people are saying, is the government just allowed to just release stuff without giving someone a day in court? And I think that's what DOJ was struggling with. I think to the good side is they pushed out as much as they possibly could, and they're trying to do the right thing, and people are looking back and trying to fix it. It's something that people are very concerned about, and eventually it'll all come out. But, we're still waiting to figure out what happened in Dallas in 1963.
Good point.
Yeah, it's taking an awfully long time, Neil. It's taking an awfully long time.
Neil McCabe, thanks for being there. Long day, 16 hours or so at the White House. I call that a 7-meal day is what I call that. So thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Neil.
It's the life we chose.
And I like choosing that, Neil. All right, thanks. Coming up, Vice President J.D. Vance taking aim at Israel, accusing the Jewish state of undercutting diplomatic efforts with Iran. We're going to hear more about what he said in that Joe Rogan interview next. Would it make sense to do Randy Fine first because of the hard out and then do the health stuff? I mean, I just got to make sure that we're.
Hey, babe. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Well, I'm not asking you to. What I'm saying is that I need to know kind of how hard is that hard? Well, you might not know. You might need to ask. Yeah, I just want to be. I want to maintain relationship. That's what I'm saying.
Pierce, where's the Corey comparatori widow story?
Oh yeah, where is that?
Pierce, where is the Corey comparatori widow story?
Congressman David Brody, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Always great to have you. Thank you.
Yeah, happy to be here.
All right. Stand by. I know you've got
a little hard to hear you.
So.
Hold on. I'm doing turn you up. No, you're up all the way.
So, Pierce, what do you want to do here? Okay. All right. That's Toronto, Canada, I think. I can't even see it. Welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. All right, so Vice President J.D. Vance sat down for this interview with Joe Rogan. We just showed you a clip in the last segment. Now we're going to show you a clip of him accusing Israel of spending, quote, a fortune to derail negotiations with Iran. Look at this. We don't have the clip. All right, forget the clip. We'll talk about it with Congressman Randy Fine, who is with us now. Congressman, I'll tell you what, he is making waves, J.D. Vance is, with this clip that he had on Joe Rogan, essentially talking about how there were folks that were getting paid by Israeli officials to do an influencer campaign to basically come against J.D. Vance on the memorandum of understanding. Have you seen this clip, and what's your reaction?
Look, I think it's disappointing. The most pernicious form of anti-Semitism is when other people do something and it doesn't bother you at all. But when Jews or Israel do it, you lose your absolute mind. Right. I mean, we have real issues with influencers affecting our elections in this country. China's doing it. Russia's doing it. Iran is doing it. Qatar is doing it. Turkey is doing it. But the same voices that are completely silent or turn a blind eye about that lose their minds when Israel supposedly does it. Turns out the criticism of the MOU was absolutely justified because it didn't work. I didn't actually criticize it when it came out because I thought it was a good first step and I didn't believe the Iranians would ever follow through. And they didn't. So I think the thing to do now is to admit that when you're dealing with Muslim terrorists, they can't be trusted. They can only be defeated.
Congressman, yesterday on News Nation, Corey Comperatore's widow, Helen, came out and said that she believes that the murder of her husband that took place, of course, that day in Butler, Pennsylvania, the same day that President Trump was shot, she believes it was an inside job. What are you hearing about that? It does seem like the Butler issue has just sort of faded into nowhere, and Israel does get the blame through the crowds, the segment of MAGA and the swaths of leftists who are asking questions about that. So, what do you think will happen to this? Why do you think this has been so quieted?
So there's multiple things to unpack there. First off, Corey Comperatore's wife has gone through an unspeakable tragedy. Yes. I can't imagine how difficult it's going to be, and I'm not going to criticize her for saying whatever it is she wants to say. I will say I do think we could know a lot more about what happened in Butler. I understand when there's a lack of transparency, people fill in the blanks. Yeah. But, unfortunately, usually the most likely explanation is what it is, that the Biden administration did a bad job of protecting President Trump, and they tried to kill him. As it relates to Israel, look, there's this anti-Semitic sickness out there. But what people have to step back and ask themselves is, Joe Biden was no friend of Israel. So, and Kamala Harris would have been even worse. So why on earth would Israel want to try to assassinate Donald Trump, who's been the best friend for Israel and American Jews that we've ever had? So that claim wouldn't even make any sense. The opposite would be the case.
Can I go real quick back to this J.D. Vance clip? Well, rather than showing the clip, no reason to do that right now. We've talked about it. But in part of the clip, he calls himself a reasonable moderate on Israel. He said there are pro-Israel forces and there's anti-Israel forces. And he goes, I'm the reasonable moderate. I'm not anti-Israel. I'm reasonable. And I'm thinking, well, that might be a little disconcerting to pro-Israel folks who say, oh, wait, you're a moderate on this? You're not fully pro-Israel? I'm curious to get your take on that.
Well, I think that would be out of line with the Republican Party. I'm extremely proud that yesterday, when the one anti-Semite that we do have in our conference, Thomas Massie, put forward an amendment to strip all military funding for Israel next year, every single Republican voted against it, 100%, without exception. That's where the Republican Party is. Now, the Democrats, maybe they're more in that, view of I'm a moderate on Israel because half of them were for it and half of them are against it. But the mainstream of the Republican Party understands that for the fate of Western civilization to continue, all of our holy sites in Judaism and most of our holy sites in Christianity are all in Israel. And we have to stand up to those who would seek to destroy both religions.
Congressman Randy Fine, appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for always being a straight shooter, for sure.
You're welcome.
All right, Gina, you've got health news.
I do. It is now time for today's health news that is sponsored by the wellness company Under the Microscope today. A small study suggests extract from Boswellia serrata, also known as Indian, you guys are going to love this, frankincense. Where have we heard that word before? May help reduce the frequency and severity of chronic cluster headaches. Researchers followed 4 patients who had not responded to multiple standard chemical treatments. Most reported fewer headaches, less pain, and improved sleep after taking the herbal extract. However, authors, of course, say the study included only 4 patients, was not placebo-controlled, and larger clinical trials are needed. But see, here's the thing. Big Pharma is not going to pay for large clinical trials of something as cheap as frankincense, right? So anyway, as I say in just about every segment, first of all, thanks to Phil Rockers and our audience who I believe told me about that story. Secondly, as I always say to everyone in this audience, talk to your holistic practitioner about all of these things and see if they might work for you. This summer, patriotic Americans from coast to coast will be celebrating the 250th birthday of the greatest country on the planet. This nation was founded by brave patriots who declared their independence from our British overlords. This summer is not only a good time to reflect on 250, it is also a great time to channel some of that American individualism and declare your independence from Big Pharma and the broken medical establishment. That is where the Wellness Company comes in. You see and hear from their doctors on this network. You know their products are the gold standards when it comes to keeping your family safe and healthy. They make sure you're prepared for whatever happens with their series of prescription medical kits. These kits have an assortment of life-saving medications and guidebooks to help you use the meds in the kit. Additionally, they offer a variety of products from parasite cleanses to methylene blue to weight loss and so much more. These can help you stay healthy, live a longer, more satisfying life. Celebrate America's 250 by declaring your independence from Big Pharma. Go to twc.health/RAV today. Give it an order. That's twc.health/RAV. Use the promo code RAV. It'll save you 10%. Debro, back over to you.
Oh,
well. Nope. Keep going, MD says. All right, MD, that's what I'll do. Coming up, Democrats launching a new campaign against Republicans over health care. What are they proposing to lower costs and protect coverage? How are Republicans responding? We're going to tell you about it next on American Sunrise.
Hey, Gina.
Yes.
Good job getting that Corey's wife in there. Excellent. That was great. Hey, everybody. We're back. We're still here. We haven't left.
Morning.
You ever have one of those 7 meal days, by the way, on a separate note?
Okay, I don't know what you're talking about on this. Do you want to explain yourself?
Sure. When it's a long day and you're working all day long and you're up at 6 in the morning and you're done at 11 p.m. at night, that means you're not really sleeping all that much and you're constantly working and you're out in the field. So therefore you need sustenance. And I typically enjoy about 7 meals per day. When I say 7 meals, I'm talking about like when I'm on the road. Small little meals.
See,
it could be like nuts and berries. Okay.
oh my God, you must have cush assignments. Like the days I've had, like I'm literally going like the entire time from 6 to 11, I'm going on the air, getting interviews. Who has time to eat? Like you're lucky if you eat.
Yeah, Terrance, he never gets to eat, David. Look at the poor man.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Okay, yeah, I don't know if that's a jab, Dr. Gina.
I'm defending you,
Look at
Terrance.
me.
I'm defending you in your long days that you don't get those 7 meals like David Brody does.
Listen, let me just say, a banana and a handful of Cheerios is a meal. Okay, I'm just saying little.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time to stay woke. It's time to stay awake, not woke. By the way, I want to send a shout out to TV9 Live. Looks like she's saying our word of the day is thirsty. And after that conversation with David talking about all the meals that he gets on those long days, I definitely am a little extra thirsty because that's about as much sustenance as I get, a drink of water, and I'm typically working. Anyway, today we are discussing health care. House Democrats are launching a nearly $5 million campaign with the advocacy group Protect Our Care. It targets Republican health care policies. The effort includes television and digital ads, town hall meetings, grassroots events, and organizing across the country. Democrats say they are fighting to protect Medicaid and lower health care costs. Republicans, on the other hand, say their reforms are designed to reduce waste, fraud, and abuse while also preserving benefits for eligible patients. Let's talk a bit more about this. Let's bring back David and Dr. Gina. Dr. Gina, this is right up your alley. Anytime the Democrats say they're actually trying to do something positive, I think all of us just kind of look at them with the side eye and like, really? Are you really trying to do anything, or you just want to bring something to the forefront or talk a whole lot and really have no action behind it?
Democrats should be banned from touching health care ever. After what they did to us with Obamacare, taking over 20% of the American economy, which actually it turned out to be even more than that, they have taken away our doctors. They have. When's the last time you heard of someone actually having a family doctor, unless they pay out of pocket and go to a boutique doctor, which is what a lot of families have opted to do, or they've gotten into medical needs sharing companies to protect their families from the ravages of what Democrats did to health care through Obamacare. They should have. They should not even be allowed to say the word. I'm sorry. I'm suddenly for censorship. They should not even be allowed to say the word. I'm serious. Obviously, I am joking to some degree, but the American population should not let Democrats talk about health care. Stay away from our health care. You don't care anything about our health care. You know what? When they say the word health care, do you know what they really mean, David and Terrance? Do you know what they really mean?
Tell me. What do they mean?
They mean
they
want to spend more of your tax dollars, and they want to bureaucratize, is that a word, your health care even more to where you have zero access, zero control, and your money means nothing in the health care system. I am so tired. Democrats, no.
Yeah, no, you don't have time for that.
No.
Listen, let me just say a couple of things. Okay, first of all, this is how basic it is. Okay, the Democrats want to give everybody a shot during COVID, multiple shots, boosters, 12 boosters. They want to lock people down during COVID. This is their idea of healthcare. And I'm going to say something, and it's going to be straight up, and it's true. Killing babies is healthcare for them.
Yes.
Okay. So literally, and when I say killing babies is healthcare for them, I mean, that's literally their policy. They want to promote abortion as part of their healthcare policy. It's inside, codified into what they would want to do into law. So any reasonable American would realize that Democrats and healthcare do not mix. It's a toxic mix. We've got to stay away from anything that they want to do. Having said that, I'll be honest with you, it's Congress, and all they're good at is renaming post offices. And I'm not convinced that there's going to be any sort of consensus on health care, because that's what you're going to need, unless they get rid of the filibuster on certain things. But that's a whole other conversation. But anyhow, the bottom line is Democrats are dangerous.
Dr. Gina, I know you're very passionate about the issue of health care. From your perspective, should the government even be involved in health care, be it funding it or regulating it?
Charity,
I figured that was going to be your answer. Go ahead.
Charity, churches, these health care needs sharing ministries are fantabulous. So what a free market, faith-filled solution to a government-created problem. But no, government should build roads, care for our common defense, build roads. Did I say that? Roads and bridges?
Yeah, something. We knew what you meant.
I made a contraction out of roads and bridges. They should care for our common defense. The government has no business in healthcare whatsoever.
Can I just...
And before everybody says, oh, what about poor people? Oh, I don't get... You know what? That's when the church was involved and charities were involved and neighbors and families were involved. Guess what? People were closer to their churches, their charities, and their families. And guess what? People had to look you in the eye before they gave you that dollar. And they cared about you. It was different.
I don't want to be boring, but I agree with you. I have a quick question on Medicare. What about Medicare? And are you talking about, when you say government, are you talking about federal government? Or Terrance, I should ask, are you talking about federal government or state government, or it doesn't matter?
For me, it doesn't matter. My question is, should government, be it state, local, or federal, should they be involved? That would be my
county
question.
or county government. I mean, like we have to. Yeah. There's three different levels here. Do we want the federal government? Do we want Medicare being ruled by run by the federal government?
Privatize it all and watch it get better. Privatize it all and watch the people live longer.
I love it.
Yeah.
Dr. G for president. Yes.
Oh, boy.
There
really
you go. One of our viewers, that we were joking the other day about me running for Senate in South Carolina.
Yes.
One of our viewers sent me a picture of me campaigning. I was like, really? No, not going to happen. So, Dr. Gina, watch your Twitter if you're on Twitter or Truth Social or whatever. You may be getting one of those soon, Dr. G for president. You never know. Great conversation, you two. Very interesting perspectives there. Coming up, a religious freedom fight in Washington school districts. Why does a new lawsuit accuse officials of violating a Christian student's First Amendment rights? We'll talk about it next here on American Sunrise.
I keep forgetting we
Hey, Troy, Terrance here. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Terrance. How are you?
Doing well. Looking forward to the conversation. Stand by.
Thank you, sir.
Nicotine patch. Anyone? Very healthy, I'm told. Allegedly. But I mean, you could still do a nicotine patch. It'd still be healthy. And maybe help you vape a little less. I'm just saying, MD. Does it bother you? Does it bother you that you vape? Do you care?
MD, all of your business is now on YouTube. You should not vape. Shame on you, MD.
Take the little patch and you just stick it right there. I only use a half of one because I'm not really trying to quit smoking. And there are organic ones too, by the way.
I used to live in Indiana. I worked in Indiana for 4 or 5 years. In fact, I got married in Indiana.
You know, we got a Trader Joe's, Terrance, in our neighborhood.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. It's now time for our moment of faith. And in focus today, a Washington state school district facing a federal lawsuit after a Christian middle school student alleged that she was forced to remain at an assembly that conflicted with her religious beliefs. The American Center for Law and Justice says the girl asked to be excused, but was told that she had no choice and was required to remain at that assembly despite being in tears. The lawsuit accuses Highline Public Schools of violating her First Amendment rights and alleges a broader pattern of religious discrimination. Let's bring in the president and CEO of National Religious Broadcasters. That would be Troy Miller. Troy, it is good to see you. As a parent, I would be fuming and livid if this happened to my kids, and I suspect the parents involved in this are very similar.
Yeah, that's my understanding from the ACLJ, that these parents were outraged at what the school did. And let's just say what it was. The school discriminated against her rights, her religious beliefs, not only not to be a part of this assembly, but also for her, I think I understand, to share her faith, to do it. And again, what this really is this is the school prioritizing their indoctrination over our individual rights, and they clearly violated her First Amendment rights.
You used the term that I was going to bring up next, indoctrination, and you touched on this. I'd like you to delve a little bit more into the idea that people's rights are being violated in the name of indoctrination from these various school districts, and talk about the danger thereof.
Yeah, school districts like to, and the left, the progressive left, likes to sort of, put this under, encompass this under diversity or inclusion, or this is the way we love other people. So they like to, attach these sort of altruistic labels onto these things. But at the end of the day, really what they're doing is they're pushing an agenda. They're pushing a worldview and an ideology on their students, and a lot of times even through their faculties, that they want these students to embrace and to hold. And parents are the ones who really have the ultimate authority and the ultimate rights over their children, and to teach their children and to pass on their beliefs, their ideology, their faith to their children. And schools should not be a part of this. But we're seeing this more and more. And I'll tell you this, had this been a Muslim student who wanted to opt out of something that they viewed was not their faith, the school would have been all over it, left and right.
Hey, Troy, really quickly, if this lawsuit is successful, do you think anything is going to really change?
Look, I think this lawsuit, it's not an if, this lawsuit will be successful. The Supreme Court has set precedent after precedent on this. But no, I really don't think anything's going to change. I think these people think they're above the law.
Yeah, I figured that would be your answer. It was probably somewhat of a loaded question, given that I knew the answer. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn last night, and so I will be at somebody's courtroom today asking questions that I already know the answer to. Troy, good to see you, my friend. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We're back with the second hour of American Sunrise after this. Hey, YouTube, I am curious. What is your favorite grocery store? Do you guys have a favorite grocery store? Dr. G, David, do you guys have a favorite grocery store?
Oh, sorry, I'm back. Favorite grocery store? Yes.
Farmer's
I've
Market.
got a favorite.
I'm sorry?
Farmer's Market. There, I just don't, I'm not, I mean, if I had to pick.
You do farmers? Okay.
If I had to pick I buy most of my stuff directly from farmers. And wait, I have to say something really quick and clear something up, because people are freaking out a little bit that I was talking about nicotine patches. Very healthy. Do your research. Talk to your functional medicine doctor. Nicotine patches are helping with ADHD. That's why I use them. They're helping with, they're preventing dementia. They're treating dementia and Parkinson's. I mean, it's just amazing what they're doing with nicotine. So look it up for yourself. Don't take my word for it. I am not an MD, but do look it up, because they're very healthy. Go ahead, Terrance.
No, there's only one MD on the show. Okay, sounds good. My favorite grocery store.
Hey, Tracy. Sorry, T. Bates again. So we're floating headlines, but are we going to weather? So we'll go right to weather. Is that what we're doing then? Senator Johnson, good to see you. Good morning.
Morning. Hope you guys are doing well.
We're doing well. Looking forward to the conversation as always. Appreciate you being with us.
Thanks for having me on.
Coming up on the second hour of American Sunrise, Democrats in the Senate blocking a key defense bill, in part over a provision that would deepen coordination between U.S. and Israeli forces. We're going to unpack the details here in a moment. Plus, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle raising concerns over the possibility of yet another government shutdown. Really? If no funding agreements are reached by the September deadline. We're going to get an inside look straight ahead. Also ahead, Christians in Nigeria continuing to face violent persecution from Islamic terrorists. We're going to shine a light on what's really happening in the country later in the hour. Those stories, so much more. The second hour of American Sunrise starting right now. Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
we have breaking news to share with you.
Politics.
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
We've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrance.
And I'm Dr. Gina.
Welcome back, everybody, to the second hour of American Sunrise. I'm David Brody. I'm in D.C. on this Thursday. Let's bring in Dr. G in West Palm, T. Bates in our Denver newsroom. Good morning to all three of you. Dr. G, we say it very nice. Hey, we've got this primetime speech by the president tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern. Gina, I'm wondering what you think. I'm just wondering to see which network dips out first, CNN, MSNBC, which one is going to... if they take it, they'll take it for maybe about, a minute and a half, and then he's going to say 2020, and they're going to be like, well, we're done. Let's go back to Rachel Maddow.
Yeah, I agree. That's what'll happen.
Well, I'm going to be watching.
I'm sorry, 9 o'clock is kind of late for me, David. Like, my kids do this stuff to me, and now the president, they'll be like, oh, Mama, we're going to come over at 9 o'clock, and we're bringing 10 friends. I'm like, no, you're not. I go to bed at 8 o'clock, people. I have to get up so early in the morning. No.
That's right.
You
got chickens to take care of. That's true. That's a good point.
Chickens.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what the president has to say about the 2020 election and these newly declassified documents that he has, this new evidence. I think that's going to be the focus, and that's going to be the big headline tomorrow, whatever those declassified documents say, and how in-depth the president goes into that. So wait for it tomorrow morning. I'll have a whole lot more to say once we have some real meat to chew on.
But Terrance, you're going to stay up and watch it. Because, President, he might go 3 hours. This is President Trump we're talking about.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm going to take a nap right when I get home.
Tomorrow.
So, exactly. I will have Samsonite bags under my eyes, but I will be up.
You're fine. It'll be 7 p.m. where you are. I'm just playing.
Oh, that's right. It'll be earlier where you are.
Yeah, but still 7 p.m. That's my bedtime. I'm usually I'm trying to go to bed.
No, and
I'm trying to go to bed. This time of year never happens. Go ahead.
Do you guys have this problem? Thursday nights for some reason turn into party nights at my house. I'm not sure why, but I know it will tonight because my husband's coming back from the World Cup thing. My kids are all going to come around tonight because I made a really good dinner last night and they missed it, so they'll come tonight hoping that I'll make another good dinner, and I might. And I will be up till 2 in the morning, but I still don't know if I'll get... that doesn't mean I'll have control of the TV. That's the thing.
Okay. All right. I want to go to Dr. Gina's house. Sounds like she has a lot of fun.
Thursday nights are always something. Yeah.
Party night. Let's go, West Palm.
It's
there
just,
you go.
It's where your kids are, and you meet them where they are, because you'll do anything to get them over there. You know how it is.
I get it. Sure. I definitely get it. All right, guys, we're going to get to our next guest here momentarily. Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin standing by. First, though, let's get a quick check of our forecast. Weather Nation meteorologist Tracy Anthony in the Weather Center. Tracy, you got our hometown forecast. Good morning.
Yeah, you know, we had a lot of people dropping in from the Great Lakes in the Northeast. So a lot of people waking up to smoke. And you can see from this satellite image yesterday, the smoke is underneath the clouds moving faster and a little bit whiter. So ITV9 live in North Conway, New Hampshire. 83 degrees today. You do have a chance for a few rumbles of thunder. Temperature is going to cool down. That's a cold front working on through. And then you're back in the 80s next week. Now that haze will stick around for a couple of days. But air quality will remain vulnerable and unhealthy. So make sure you're playing it on the safe side across this region. And next up is Beloit, Wisconsin. Thanks to Conserve for Ev. 91 degrees today. We have heat advisories pretty widespread across the northern half of the nation. And we'll start to feel that heat break down over the next couple of days, but the smoky scenes are definitely widespread. Now, the last stop is Frog Knot, Texas. Last day of rain. This is near the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So that rain will push west, and once that sunshine gets out in full force, temperatures will be skyrocketing back into the triple digits. But Terrance, this is a look at what our field correspondents are experiencing and seeing here this morning in Kerrville, Texas.
Wow, that's amazing. Just catastrophic flooding in that area. All right, Tracy, I appreciate the reporting there, and we'll check back with you tomorrow. Have a good rest of the day. Okay, she obviously can't hear me. All right, let's get you over to David now. David, good morning.
Good morning. Or she's ignoring you. Okay, T-Bates.
Or that. That's not uncommon for women in my life. Just, hey, babe, can you get me such and such?
Yeah.
Babe, did you hear me?
Crickets. Okay.
Right.
All right, so a stalemate on funding for the Pentagon is continuing in the Senate this morning after Democrats blocked a debate on the annual defense budget bill. Democrats cited opposition to ongoing operations in Iran, as well as there's a provision in there that would deepen U.S. military and intelligence cooperation with Israel. This comes amid shakeups in the Senate as we continue to follow the passing of Lindsey Graham, with Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson preparing to step in as the Budget Committee chairman. Senator Johnson joining us now. Senator, good morning to you. Where do we begin? Why don't we talk about this defense authorization bill? I mean, what are Democrats doing there? You're from the state of Wisconsin. Do you want to throw a block of cheese at their head?
Good morning. Well, what Democrats are doing is, in an unprecedented fashion, they're obnoxiously obstructionist. They shut down the government for 42 days. They shut down DHS. They refused to fund CBP and ICE. Now they've completely shut down the appropriation process. As hard as Susan Collins is working to accommodate what they want to spend money on, they've shut it down. Now they've, in an unprecedented fashion, wouldn't even vote to proceed to debate on the National Defense Authorization Act. That's never happened before. And again, if they've got some issues, get it on the floor, offer amendments. That's how you're supposed to legislate. But again, they're obviously showing us their hand. They want chaos. They think that'll be advantageous to them in the election. That's all they care about is power. Winning the election. They could care less about the American people. They could care less about our troops. They can care less about people being murdered by illegal immigrants. They just want power. And I hope the American people are watching.
Senator, lawmakers in both parties warning that the risk of a government shutdown this September is growing after President Trump said Republicans should eliminate the Senate filibuster or face a funding standoff. With the September 30 funding deadline approaching, both parties trading blame, Congress facing a tight timeline to keep the government open. Senator, is a September shutdown a real risk, or is a funding deal still possible, do you think?
Not with the Democrats. I mean, Democrats have shown us our hands. I mean, we ignore that reality at our own peril. So I think Republicans are going to have to govern. We're going to have to do what we need to do to fund the government, to pass the Save America Act. I think the unprecedented, obnoxious behavior of the Democrats, their obstruction, I think it might force Republicans to do things that we necessarily wouldn't do otherwise in an unprecedented fashion as well. But it'll be Democrats forcing our hand. There's not equal blame here. This is the Democrats through and through. Is the Schumer shutdown of the government, of DHS, CBP, ICE. This is all orchestrated by Chuck Schumer and the Democrats. They're being completely unreasonable, and we're going to have to govern. And, you guys know I've been in favor of ending the filibuster. They will do so as soon as they have the chance. We ought to do it now for the benefit of the American people, to keep government open, to pass the Save America Act, to bring integrity back to our elections. Democrats don't want any election integrity measures. They want to be able to cheat. We had the senator from Michigan say that if we pass Save America Act, Democrats have a hard time winning. Yeah, they have a hard time winning if they can't cheat. That should speak volumes when Democrats oppose something that the 75 or 80% of the American people want. So again, I am not budget chair yet. I'm going to do everything I can to accomplish what's possible. I've got a responsibility to the conference. I've got to get everybody together on the budget committee within our Republican conference. Then we need to organize our efforts, get on the same page between the House, the White House, and the Senate. That's what I'm going to try and bring to the table as budget chair.
Senator Johnson, you brought up a couple of things, so I'm going to ask you kind of a two-part question, and each part kind of focuses on the different thing. First, the NDAA, are you expecting that it will eventually be brought back to the floor and ultimately passed? And I ask that question because it seems to me that it would be critical to fund our military in a time of war. We are still in this operation against Iran, so the money needs to come. And then the second part of the question, you talked about cheating, which of course brings me to Reconciliation 3.0 that seems to be working its way through the House and eventually will make its way to your body there in the Senate. Do you think it will ultimately pass there in the Senate in order to open the door for a Save America Act kind of program that would ultimately go to the states? I know it's a lot to take in, so take either part first.
So on NDAA, Leader Thune switched his vote to no so he can bring it back up for reconsideration. But again, Democrats have shown us their hand. That they don't care about our troops. They don't care about the American public. They just care about power. In terms of Reconciliation 3.0, there are a lot of moving parts here. And again, the unprecedented, obnoxious obstruction of the Democrats, it might create some opportunities in terms of what our members might consider using reconciliation for. So I can't predict that. Again, my role is going to try and get everybody on the same page, understand what is possible, and do as best we possibly can to accomplish President Trump's agenda for the benefit of the American people. Again, we're not interested in power. We're interested in winning elections for the benefit of the American public. Democrats just want power. I hope the American people are paying attention.
Senator, let me ask you about what is possible when it comes to the Save America Act. I want to drill down on this a little bit. You mentioned the filibuster. You're for getting rid of it. Am I doing as I try to be an anchor whip here from a distance, am I missing the vote total here? In other words, Senator Thune keeps saying he doesn't have 50 votes even 50 Republicans to get rid of the filibuster. I mean, I'm looking at Murkowski and Collins and who else? Mitch McConnell, depending on what's going on there. And there's others, Rand Paul. So help me through it. I mean, so in other words, you want to get rid of the filibuster. Okay, great. I don't disagree with that. But having said that, Thune says he doesn't even have the votes to do that. Or you're just saying, hey, take the vote and let's see where everybody stands.
Well, first of all, we did not have the votes to end the 60-vote threshold on nominations until the Democrats were so obnoxiously obstructionist and refused to allow President Trump to staff his administration that all of a sudden all 53 Republican senators voted to end the 60-vote threshold on nominations. Again, I can't predict what's happening now. But again, Republicans want to fund government. They want to pass the NDAA. If Democrats refuse to cooperate with us on that, that might force our hand. So again, I can't predict how this comes out, but the obnoxious obstruction of Democrats might create some additional opportunities to do things that, even if a month or so ago wouldn't seem possible.
Senator, wanted to give you a chance to speak to your loss this week and the loss of your colleagues and anything you have to say about that. I was a little surprised last night to see some pushback on the senator's sister being appointed. I just wanted to get your take on everything. And also, how long will that appointment stand? What happens with that election and all of the seats?
Personally, I think that was an inspired choice by the South Carolina governor. Darlene's a wonderful person. She'll serve out the remaining 6 months of Lindsey's term. The loss of Lindsey he's irreplaceable. He's one of a kind. I mean, people don't realize how he dedicated his life to this nation, how in the end he gave his life to this nation. I remember him confiding into me that the toll, all his travel, that's why he became so respected, so influential, because he worked his tail off. People don't realize, you leave after a full week of work in the Senate, fly overseas 8, 9, 10, 12 hours, hit the ground, you're in meetings all day, have dinner, jet lagged, you don't sleep well, get up, do it 2 days in a row, come back, full schedule in the Senate again. So, that's what Lindsey did his last 2 weeks on Earth. He was overseas trying to bring peace to the region, trying to bring strength and stability to America. He paid with his life, quite honestly. So he's a huge loss. He was everybody's friend. He was my friend. He's sorely missed.
Senator Ron Johnson, we appreciate you being here. And by the way, we don't take it for granted that you're on our show often, and we really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me on.
Senator Johnson.
God bless. Thanks.
All right, we've got some live coverage now. Let's listen to Marco Rubio speaking at an event this morning. Do we have any more information about the event? We'll have to take a look at it.
The most essential duty of the state, the first responsibility, frankly, of any government of any kind, is the protection of its people. It's the protection of its country. This is a sacred obligation that should transcend all political and all ideological divisions. It is why, for example, we have militaries. It's why we have intelligence agencies. It's why counterterrorism bureaus exist, why police forces exist. Keeping our people safe is the reason why every country represented here has all of these things. We are all very well acquainted, as of now, of course by now, with what has been described as traditional terrorist threats. For 25 years, the term counterterrorism, at least in the West, has meant first and foremost the fight against radical Islamist extremism. And there's a very poignant reason for that. On the 11th of September, in the year of 2001, 19 men murdered 3,000 people here in my country. Then that same enemy struck Europe, murdering nearly 200 commuters aboard trains in Madrid in 2004, and 52 more aboard London buses and the underground in the following year. The entire architecture of Western counterterrorism was rebuilt from the studs around the singular traumatic event. That made sense at the time. Our job was to keep our people safe, and the realm of terrorism, the specter of global jihad, was the premier threat to their safety. And so we went to work, and we assembled a global coalition, working with many of the friends that are represented here in this room today. And we destroyed the ISIS caliphate, we killed al-Baghdadi and al-Zawahiri and bin Laden, and we built intelligence and law enforcement systems capable of anticipating and stopping attacks before the public even hears about them. Every country represented here today has disrupted a terrorist threat at some point emanating from this source. Jihadist attacks and plots in the United States are down by 2/3 since ISIS's peak. The number of people killed by jihadist terrorism in Europe dropped by roughly 97% from the year 2015 to the year 2024. In other words, to a very great extent, our counterterrorism strategy has worked. The threat has not disappeared, of course. It will continue to exist, particularly so long as we tolerate immigration systems that imports these threats directly into our respective homelands. But this threat has been severely diminished. The world looks very different today because of it. For far too long, however, our counterterrorism doctrine has had a blind spot when it comes to extremist violence from the political left. Even today, the very idea that far-left terrorism could be a serious threat is treated as a right-wing fever dream, or worse, as a dangerous fascist conspiracy. It's treated this way by many in the press, by many in academia and our universities, and by many of our legacy institutions. You will no doubt see the dogma rear its head in the coverage of this very conference. In spite of the clear and the undeniable reality, in spite of the objective numbers and statistics, in spite of the fact that in this room today, there are representatives from across the political spectrum, we will hear this kind of organized violence and terror will be dismissed. It will be dismissed as a partisan fiction. A whole industry grew up in our countries around the study of extremism. We have think tanks and fellowships and journals and consultancies with the unspoken understanding among them that the only kind of political violence that was a true threat to our system, that only one kind of political violence was a true threat to the system. A bomb planted by a neo-Nazi group was a nefarious and murderous act of evil. It is. But a bomb planted by a Marxist revolutionary, well, that's just merely a tragic excess of idealism. Perhaps its means were misplaced or overzealous, but its ends were virtuous and just. That's the implication of how they treat it. For years, this extraordinary ideological prejudice was embedded in the way we talked about political violence and extremism. It was repeated again and again until it was accepted as the neutral and objective baseline, so entrenched in the mainstream conventional wisdom that it came to be regarded as an apolitical fact. It is the reason why, here in my country, so many people in positions of power have repeatedly dismissed acts of violence and even terrorism as legitimate forms of political expression, so long as they served a left-wing cause. It is why during those so-called George Floyd riots in the summer of 2020, as criminals and extremists burned and looted their way through America's great cities and nearly brought the country to its knees, city governments all across the country simply refused to prosecute the people conducting these acts of violence and terror. It is the reason for the now infamous image, maybe you all recall this, of a news anchor from a very prominent agency, a news anchor standing in a neighborhood consumed in flames. Meanwhile, the chyron on the bottom read that the protests were mostly peaceful. This was something worse than a double standard. Left-wing violence was not just excused, it was treated as sacrosanct, a protected class unto itself. That era has to end. The coalition in this room today includes political leaders and experts and law enforcement officials from more than 60 countries across the world. You have come here from a wide range of governments, parties, and political persuasions. Some of your governments and ours disagree publicly. Sometimes we disagree sharply about trade, about energy, about immigration. You did not come here today because you have been persuaded on every single aspect of the American view of the world. You came here. You are here because 2 weeks ago, a 72-year-old woman was burned on over 80% of her body in her own home in Greece, and she died, executed by a firebomb because her daughter dared to stand for office. You are here today because for 5 days this winter, the lights went out in Berlin, the longest blackout in the city since the Second World War, sparked by an attack that left tens of thousands of households without power in the freezing cold and left an 83-year-old woman dead. You are here and you came because a month after that Berlin blackout, a French 23-year-old succumbed to traumatic brain injuries, beaten to death on the streets of Lyon by a group of far-left militant thugs. You are here because your political leaders are being attacked and stabbed and shot in your streets, because your businesses have been bombed, because your railways have been sabotaged, because your police officers have been beaten and burned. You are here because this is real, and it is getting worse, and it can no longer be denied, and it can no longer be ignored, because it is time to crush this evil forever. The simple fact is, none of this that I've just described is new. Far-left political terrorism is not a recent-day modern novelty. It is not a fiction manufactured by conservative politicians. For most of the modern era, it was in fact the dominant form of political violence. Every one of our friends here from the nations of the Western Hemisphere remember the decades of kidnappings and bombings and assassinations and executions, the violent terror of the Tupamaros, of the Monteseros, of the FARC, of the ELN. You remember the inhuman savagery of Peru's Shining Path, the Maoist fanatics who massacred the peasant villages of Peru, hacking pregnant women and newborn infants to death with axes and machetes. You remember the tens of thousands of Marxist guerrillas trained to kill in Castro's terrorist camps. All of you here from Europe remember. You remember the machine gun massacres of Italy's Red Brigades, which held the 5-time prime minister captive for 55 days before subjecting him to a revolutionary so-called people's trial and executing him in 1978. You remember the Red Army faction's nearly 3-decade campaign of bombings, kidnappings, and assassinations in Germany, murdering dozens and injuring hundreds more. You remember the 17 November organization in Greece, the Marxist extremists that terrorized Athens for more than a quarter century, including, by the way, shooting my country's CIA station chief dead outside of his home, in front of his wife, as they were returning home from a Christmas party. And here in America, we remember. We remember the same reign of deadly terror, justified by the same slogans, motivated by the same wicked ideas. We remember the Weather Underground, which bombed the Pentagon, which bombed the State Department, and bombed the Capitol. We remember the Black Liberation Army, which staged armed robberies and executed police officers at point-blank range. We remember the Symbionese Liberation Army, which shot a public school superintendent to death with cyanide-packed hollow point bullets. In one 18-month period, between 1971 and 1972, the FBI counted some 2,500 bombings on American soil, a rate of nearly 5 a day. The overwhelming share of that violence came from left-wing extremists. Between 1970 and 1980, 93% of terrorist attacks in the West came from the far extremist left. These are numbers that would shock most Americans today because we've been taught to believe that this kind of political violence, it simply doesn't exist or it's being exaggerated. But it does exist, and we're actually underestimating it. And our nations bear the scars to prove it. And today we face a new wave of this old evil. Here in the United States, the share of left-wing terrorist attacks and plots has risen to levels not seen in decades. In Germany, far-left violence has jumped by more than 40% in just the last year alone. In Greece, more than 80% of radical violence is now driven by far-left and anarchist actors. These are not abstract statistics. Americans have seen what those numbers mean. An all-out assault on our immigration officers, sniper attacks, explosives, armed ambushes, a transgender shooter opening fire on Catholic elementary school students as they pray, his gun marked with slogans like, "Where is your God now?" A healthcare executive executed in cold blood in the streets. Multiple assassination attempts on a sitting president, and the murder of the greatest conservative activist of a generation, a man who happened to also be a husband and the father of 2 young children, shot and killed while speaking to a crowd of students. This is a distinctive and unique evil. It has always been driven by a hatred, above all else, a hatred for civilization itself. It is a revolt of the worst against the best, a revolt of the weak and the cowardly against the strong and the good. It is perpetrated by those who cannot build, who cannot create, who cannot achieve great things, and take their revenge upon the world for their own inadequacy by seeking to destroy those who can. This is what radical leftism is. It may wear various different slogans and ideologies across place and time. They can call themselves anti-capitalist or anti-imperialists or communists or anarchists or Marxist, but the fundamental character is always the same. It's always the same. It is a poisonous resentment cloaked in the language of equality and justice and liberation, an overwhelming need to tear down what greater men have built, to wreck what is beautiful and what is right on behalf of people who are only filled with ugliness and have nothing else to offer the world. Through violence and through terror, they once again seek to impose their ugliness on all of us. The old dogma was wrong. The old dogma was wrong. None of this is driven by idealism. It is not utopian. In fact, it is the opposite. One of the criticisms you sometimes hear of communism, for example, is that it sounds good in theory, but it never works in practice. That's actually not true. Communism does not sound good in theory. The world it envisions for all of us is small, flat, gray, leveled of all exception, drained of all that is good and noble in the human soul. The world it envisions is a world without courage, a world without creativity or ambition, a world without heroes or glory or great causes to strive towards, a world without miracles, without myths, without men who rise above the rest to do incredible and extraordinary things. And the world communism envisions is a world without God. For these architects of revolutionary violence, the towering achievement of our civilization, for them, it's an unbearable humiliation, a reminder of what they cannot do and a reminder of what they cannot be. So they choose instead to destroy. They attack pipelines, they attack railroads, they attack power grids and laboratories, the physical embodied symbols of power and invention and achievement. This is the nature of the terrorism we face today. They despise the West because the West is great. This is an international conference because we are facing a transnational threat. These are not distinct and isolated cells. They are interconnected networks. They do not recognize our borders. They do not believe, in fact, in the nation state itself. They coordinate, they communicate, they travel, they train, and they act together, sharing the same infrastructure, sharing the same enemies, sharing the same mission. Antifa militants and their comrades travel from across Europe and to the Americas to participate in each other's attacks, to funnel propaganda and training materials and target information through shared encrypted channels, moving through underground networks of safe houses and finance, and sustain their operations through transnational funds. And they work alongside hostile foreign states that share their mission, like Iranian proxy networks, who are increasingly intimately tied to leftist militant groups around the world. The Cuban regime's sprawling intelligence and ideological network helped to build the far left in our country and in our hemisphere, and it remains inextricably linked to the far left groups and movements across and beyond the West. Today's far left terrorists can raise money in one country. They can host their communications in a second country. They can receive training in a third country. They can recruit militants in a fourth country, and then together strike a target in a fifth country. And so we have no choice but to confront this menace together. We will either cooperate across our borders, or the terrorists will continue to exploit the gaps between them. Under President Trump, for the first time, the United States is building the infrastructure, the partnership, and the strategy to defeat the scourge of far-left terror. The President signed National Security Presidential Memorandum No. 7, outlining a comprehensive strategy to investigate and disrupt Antifa terror networks and their allies. Last November, the State Department designated 4 violent far-left extremist groups as foreign terrorist organizations, and there will be more designations soon. In December, we announced Rewards for Justice, offering up to $10 million for information disrupting the financing behind these groups. In May, we convened the first counterterrorism law enforcement workshop, joining American law enforcement officials and their counterparts in our partner country nations together to map and develop strategies for dismantling these networks. The next workshop will be co-hosted with our partners in Germany. The coalition we're building together is already bearing fruit. And we are here today to build on that work. We can and we must identify and map this threat and rebuild our counterterrorism architecture to defeat it, just as we have done together before. Now we must do it together again. Through intelligence and information sharing, through coordinated law enforcement strategy, through financial targeting and disruption, we will dismantle these networks brick by brick. It is time for the people of the civilized world to defend ourselves, to stand united against this encroaching darkness and fight. Fight for what is ours. It is easy to destroy great things. It is far more difficult to make them. The enemies of civilization are only capable of the former. They are only capable of destroying great things. All they know is destruction. But we have built great things together. We have done it time and again. We know what we must do, and now we must do it. Thank you for coming today. And now I want to introduce someone I work with very closely and has been a leader in this field. He is a Deputy Chief of Staff and one of the key advisors to President Trump. He also heads up all of our Homeland Security initiatives and understands this issue probably as well as anyone in the United States government, Stephen Miller.
Good morning, distinguished leaders and guests. It's good to see so many familiar faces. And thank you, of course, to Secretary of State Rubio for organizing this conference and for leading this initiative. Here in the United States, we have taken the necessary and essential action of formally recognizing left-wing violence as a form of political terrorism that is a direct threat to our national security and the survival of our Republican form of government. President Trump issued a directive. In our parlance, it's called a National Security Presidential Memorandum, or NSPM, NSPM 7 to be exact, that directs for the first time in American history all of our law enforcement and intelligence agencies to work together to disrupt, identify, defund, debank, arrest, and prosecute these political terrorists that are operating in our country. It's very important to understand that left-wing political terrorism seeks as its ultimate end the overthrow of our system and form of government. And we've seen this has taken place many times in many places throughout the years, and Secretary Rubio has provided you many examples. Left-wing terrorism always ends in bloodshed, misery, and suffering. It only can travel in one direction. There's no point at which the left-wing terrorist is satisfied with his gains and ceases progressing. Inevitably, left to run its course, it always becomes a gulag. It always becomes the mass imprisonment of political enemies, the stripping of their rights and freedoms, inflicting immense pain, humiliation, suffering, in order to establish complete and total control. Control through psychological and physical and actual terror. And we have to understand that that is the scope and the extent of the threat that we face. And as Secretary Rubio also pointed out, this is an international network. Antifa, as an example, operates in dozens of countries all throughout the world. They share common networks of funding and organization.
All right, there you have it. Marco Rubio, Stephen Miller commenting. You know, it's quite a far cry from the Democrats telling us that Americans were the most dangerous thing, you know, that conservative, Christian, patriotic Americans were the most dangerous people to our republic. Terrance?
No, absolutely. And I think some of the rhetoric that we heard from Marco Rubio was very interesting and poignant, talking about the fact that the left and some of these other groups are attacking civilization and that we've built such great things and that their focus is simply to tear down the great things that we've built. I thought the rhetoric was quite interesting, and it's going to be interesting to see what else comes out of this conference that's literally assembled people from around the world to discuss making our world better instead of tearing it down, David.
I love hearing Rubio talk, especially he speaks in sweeping terms, but here's the thing. It's not sweeping empty rhetoric. He really believes it. And that's what I like about it. He, remember, I mean, he's got a wonderful backstory, which we can't get into now, but he's lived it. He understands it. His family understands it. And that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah.
Stephen Miller, oh my goodness. Talk about a dynamic duo, Marco Rubio, Stephen Miller. Yeah, sign me up. More cowbell.
Really? President and Vice President David Brody?
Yes.
Oh, gosh, no.
You don't.
No.
So look, Dr. Gina and David, like as I was listening to Marco Rubio, I'm not gonna lie, it just and without even thinking of it, I felt like this is presidential. He sounds presidential. Am I the only one that kind of felt that way? And it just kind of came over me. It's not something that I was actively thinking about, but I got that feeling.
Well, Rubio sounded presidential for sure. When
That's
I was
what I'm
saying the
saying,
dynamic,
Rubio.
Yeah, on the dynamic duo, I didn't mean Rubio and Miller teaming up, I'm sorry, as president VP. I just meant that they're simpatico in their worldviews, very much so. That's really what I meant, yeah.
Got it. All right, guys. Well, this will be, I guess, the pre-game show to the president's speech tonight, which will be happening at 9 o'clock Eastern. Changing gears, though. Health officials are tracking a growing outbreak of cyclosporasis. It is a parasitic illness that can cause severe and sometimes really bad GI upset. The CDC is investigating hundreds of confirmed cases across multiple states with contaminated fresh produce suspected as the source. One source reporting that many cases have come out of Taco Bell. Officials urging Americans to practice good food safety while this investigation continues. Joining us now with tips on how you can stay safe, the CEO of Freedom Water Systems, some of my favorite people, Michael Kaplan and his son, Adam. I love that it's a family business. I love that you all know health and water, just about anybody, better than anybody I've ever spoken to, because this is such a passion of mine. You know, I'm very much about health. I'm very much about supplements and peptides and all the things. I talk about it every day on our show. But if you're not drinking healthy water, if you're getting cyclosporasis, or however you say it, in your drinking supply, it doesn't really matter what you're eating. So I want to start, Michael, with you. Freedom Water Systems makes filters that can actually help prevent these problems. This isn't a claim that other water filtration systems can make.
Well, that's very true, Gina. Thank you very much for having us this morning. It's great to see you again. This parasite that's in question right now is very difficult to kill. Most conventional water treatment systems just don't have the ability to do that. Our systems have something called quantum disinfection, which is available with our systems that will kill not only this parasite, but scores of others that manage to escape conventional water purification from basically city water drinking systems. Actually, my son, Adam, is much more expert in water treatment than I am, and probably knows more about water treatment than most people, and can probably speak to that better than I. But the quantum disinfection aspect or filter of our system makes it quite unique in the marketplace.
Yeah, Adam, I want to go to you because these little worms, I'm going to use total layman's terms here, excuse me for that, but they are sticky, they're red, they're sticky. You can't just wash them off with your typical, whatever kind of water you might normally use. It doesn't really work that way. These are special, and they need special means to kill them. And this is really an outbreak happening all across America right now.
Certainly, it's a group referred to as protozoan parasites, and they are difficult to definitely get rid of and to kill. There are some ways that are very effective at doing so, but it's kind of like using a key in a lock. Specific keys will work for specific locks, but if you don't use the right protocol, you're not gonna get in the door. Same thing with treating different types of bacteria and cysts and parasites and such like that. One great thing about some of the systems that we offer is they cover an extremely wide range, over 99% of a lot of these parasites, bacteria, cysts, viruses, and such like that, to make sure that your bases are covered, and that you're doing all that you can to make sure that you are ingesting healthy food and water, which you use to clean your foods and such like that. So there's a lot of ways that you can become a victim, but there's also a lot of things you can do to protect yourself as well.
Yeah, I've literally seen footage of someone putting this filter, which I have on my home. I literally, when I go anywhere, I take water with me because I can't even stand the taste of other water now. But I've seen footage where water coming into the filter is dirty and the water coming out is crystal clear, clean, and beautiful. That's really how it should be. And the nice thing for me is I was already into all the filters before I ever met you, before I ever heard of Freedom Water Systems. I was already into all of them and talking about them on the show. And, you know, you had the one that made it alkaline. You had the one that softens the water, very important for hair and skin. You had the thing that I love about my Freedom Water guy, and I refer to him like a person because I've totally become attached, is that I don't have to do any of that anymore. I was constantly worrying about ordering filters, making sure I'd push the right buttons, making sure I'd change the water in the case of some of the systems that I was using, making sure I was adding salt, all of that. I don't have to do any of that anymore. There's a reason why it's called Freedom.
Yeah, and you know, it's more than just about bacteria and parasites and such like that in your water. There's hundreds, thousands of potentially health-affecting chemicals, heavy metals,
Yes.
and other types of contaminants that you need to be watchful for and do everything you can to prevent yourself from ingesting it. Is like I said, over time they can certainly be detrimentally health-affecting.
And the great thing about this, too, is the warranty. Talk to us about that warranty.
Certainly.
Go ahead, Adam. You can tell you.
Right now, we have a special for what you're looking at right now, which is our Eco X 1054 system with quantum disinfection filter. It's an excellent, well-rounded system that's going to be able to remove a large group of your volatile organic compounds, chlorine, metals, and also the aforementioned topics that we're talking about with parasites and cysts and viruses and such like that. And this normally is going to have a $4,495 value, and it's on sale right now for $34.95 as a package for people that might be interested. This system comes with a 10-year warranty, and the quantum disinfection filter, which is going to be included free with this unit, is going to last for up to 200,000 gallons for individuals within their household, which is an extremely long time. And we also have other options that offer warranties up to 20 years that are bumper to bumper, which covers everything, including your water quality. It is unquestionably one of the best warranties in the entire industry.
And that daily cost, that weekly cost, is next to nothing when you consider that is warranted for 20 years. Mike and Adam Kaplan, you've become friends because I so am an advocate of your system. Thank you so much for taking time today to explain to us how we can be so much more healthy, how we can protect our families, and we can do it with that freedom of just having something that's warranted for 20 years. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Gina, thank you so much for having us. And I just want to emphasize that the quantum disinfection feature is something that we're including because of this recent outbreak. We want people to be aware that there are ways to protect yourself. This is one of the few ways you can do it. And we are offering that as a free add-on to our system just because of this, what we call a national emergency. So for the first 100 of your viewers that call and order, they're going to get that quantum disinfection absolutely free. And I want to make sure that they know that.
Use the promo code 250. Thank you,
That's
guys.
It. Promo code 250 and you get it. That's exactly right.
God bless.
Thank you, Gina. Nice seeing you again.
Nice to see you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
All right, you guys, there's more American Sunrise coming at you. 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere.
We're live on YouTube. Why do I always have to repeat
the
that?
only one? Do you guys know that song? It's such a great song. That's Aaron Lewis.
I'm sorry, could you sing it a few more bars?
It's beautiful. It's a patriotic song. Oh, the words are so pretty. Let me look them up.
I'm not patriotic.
Aaron, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Maybe you can tell us the words to your songs.
I'm a far leftist. Screw patriotism. Yeah. There you go.
See, it's right here on my playlist. I know that's not what we're here to promote, but it is my favorite.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's am I the only one here tonight shaking my head thinking something ain't right? Is it just me? Am I losing my mind? Am I standing on the edge of the end of time? Am I the only one? Tell me I'm not, who thinks they're taking all the good we've got and turning it bad. God, it's so hard to remember lyrics like
You're doing great. I'm reading my book, and I'm reading ahead a little bit.
Let's spill some tea.
All right, if you already love artillery tea, well, lock in free shipping forever with the Patriots Brew Club subscription program. Simply add at least 2 items to your subscription and enjoy free shipping forever plus discounts up to 20% and free rewards. Don't go through tea very quickly. You know what? That's no problem. Set your deliveries as low as once every 3 months. There are no fees, and you can change flavors, pause, or cancel your subscription anytime. Scan the QR code, and that'll be on your screen, and that will get you started. There it is. I see it down there. All right, now to what's in the cup today. Multi-platinum recording artist Aaron Lewis back with new music and a message he says reflects the state of our nation. The stand front, somebody's going to have to help me with this because it is Stained. Okay, Stained frontman and country star is releasing his 6th solo country album, Give My Country Back. Tomorrow, the title track leans into themes of patriotism, which his music always does, personal responsibility, and frustration with today's political climate, while the album as a whole explores faith, resilience, and personal growth. Aaron Lewis joins us now. One of my personal favorites. Your songs are on my daily playlist, which I call Chill Southern Style on Spotify. And the new album is called Give My Country Back. Why? Why is it called that?
Because I feel like there is a faction in our country that wants to destroy what this beautiful country is and what it stands for. And I've had it. I'm a father. I worry about my children and my future grandchildren and what this country is going to be for them. And I can't sit on my hands and sit idly by and not say anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Your music is, it's different because it's, I would say, forgive me for putting labels on you and feel free to push back on any of this, but rather than your typical rah-rah patriotic music, your music is a little more guttural, a little more raw, a little more existential. How else would you describe it?
It has heart. It has a heartbeat. It's a piece of me. I don't just write fluff. I don't think I know how to do that.
Yeah.
It has to be meaningful. It has to strike a chord in some way, or it's not going to be on my record.
Some of your music is so just deeply emotional, I guess. I always wonder, how hard is it to perform? Because I know that I have a daughter who's an amazing artist, amazing songwriter, and she tells me all the time, Mama, I can't do it for money because it will destroy it for me because it takes away the authenticity of my art. And I understand that. I'm an artist in my own ways, and not necessarily this, but is it hard to perform it? Is it hard to commercialize it when it is so deeply artful to you?
No, because I take the same approach to the performance every night. Like, it's the last opportunity that I have to perform for anybody.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well.
So I guess with that practice, it tends to keep everything meaningful and emotionally driven, because in my mind, it's my last chance.
Well, everybody has to listen to your music if they haven't. It's very soulful. It's very meaningful. There's a depth to it that you don't hear a lot in Christian or in country music. Not saying never, but just not as often. And there's a sultriness also that's really beautiful. And it's an honor to talk to you. I think I've gotten to meet you a couple times, but every time it's an honor because I really do enjoy your music on my own.
I think last time we saw each other, we were at Mar-a-Lago.
We were, yes, I have not forgotten that. Aaron Lewis, thank you so much for your time and for your music. It's a mission field, I think is what you were saying. And we have to take the time to spread the good word every chance we get. You're absolutely right about that. And we appreciate you using your God-breathed talent to do exactly that. Thank you.
Well, God gave me a platform and I have to use it.
That's right. All right. Thank you, Aaron Lewis. Coming up, David Brody standing by with the top story he's keeping his eye on today, the one to watch after the break. Don't miss. Chris.
Got it. We're live on YouTube.
Can they?
I don't know. It's been a while. I don't know how to sing. What am I singing? Oh, yeah.
That we've never heard. that none of us have never heard. Well, I haven't heard. David, your favorite grocery store. Dr. Gina likes farmers markets, which I get. You have a favorite grocery store?
Oh, I love farmers markets. I like Trader Joe's, but Publix, and Gina will kill me for that. She doesn't. I'm sure she's going to.
No, I like
Publix.
Publix.
The best cakes. Publix has the best cakes ever.
Oh my gosh! When I go to Florida, I'm in freaking heaven when I go to Publix.
They vary greatly, though. Like
They do.
We've got.
I've had some sketchy Publix. I'll need there. I need to go to that. Okay. I liked it. That's a blue. I'm sorry. I'm an anchor. Was I interrupted? Do we not understand when an anchor speaks?
No, I don't. But I like it. It's a groove. I like it.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. G. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. It is time now for the one to watch. And okay, David, what are you keeping your eye on today? I'm sorry, I got confused because I told our audience yesterday we'd take questions from them, and we have questions from them, and this isn't that, so that's why I got confused. But that's okay. We're continuing in the old vein, but we will be compiling your questions to address on different days. So keep sending them to us on YouTube in our chat. David, go.
All right, good to know. Now, I could say I'm watching my testosterone, which sounds really strange. So I'm not going to say it that way, even though I just did. But I will say, I'm sorry, but I will say this. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth announced that service members age 30 and older are now going to receive annual testosterone screenings as part of their required military health assessments. Under the new policy, troops found to have a clinically significant testosterone deficiency may choose to receive testosterone replacement therapy, while those under 30 can volunteer for testing. So here is Hegseth talking about it. By the way, his goal isn't performance enhancement, but restoring natural hormone levels to improve readiness. Here he is.
If treatment is recommended, it's entirely your choice to receive testosterone replacement therapy. This initiative, it's not about artificial enhancement. It's about restoring and optimizing your natural capabilities, protecting your longevity, and ensuring you have the biological foundation required to sustain the fight.
You know, through that whole soundbite, T. Bates was smiling. So I'm going to T first. Yes?
Okay, I'm smiling because having grown up in a military community and still knowing a